Reader Mail.
Number 2.
Hello and welcome to Triangle Squared, a PlayStation podcast. I'm your host, Brett Beck, and alongside me, Mr.
Saul Bridges, bringing you guys the second Reader Mail, the new revised version. So for those that don't know, this is a little bit cut loose from our normal Triangle Squared and other productions, where it's a little bit more adult-friendly than kid-friendly, so kind of keep an eye out for that.
Adult-friendly?
Yeah, well, yeah, there may be there may be a little
adult-oriented than kid-friendly. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but, you know, there may be a little bit more swearing. But if you're new here and this is your first episode watching, you might want to go all the way back to Triangle Squared episode number 1, where we release every episode of Triangle Squared Monday at 10 a.m. PST, noon Central Time, on YouTube and podcast services alike, whether it's Spotify, SoundCloud. SoundCloud, not SoundHound. But yeah, SoundCloud,
You did
iTunes.
it right once.
I did it right once, and I thought I did it wrong. But so yeah, if you are interested in our normal podcast, go check that out, as well as Patreon members. Let us know about that off-topic podcast you got.
Gotta hide that water before I make Hakuto, moist.
Yeah. Even though he's disappeared for Kingdom Hearts 3, I can't really blame him. I know that's what I'll be jumping into.
He's hit me up a few times to talk about chicken wings, which is good stuff. Everybody needs to talk about chicken wings occasionally.
Chicken wings are God tier.
Talking about Zaxby's and how we don't have one, and that they're okay to me.
They're not.
But I don't care that we're missing one.
Never had a good experience at Zaxby's.
Neither have I, but then again, I wouldn't say that it was bad. Then again, that's one of those things where I think that you can be literally anywhere in any town, and that's what makes it crazy, where it's like, because one person will have a good experience in their town because they have a good version of a restaurant with great employees, and then the restaurant here, even though we have the same restaurant, has just bad employees.
There's one thing I got.
It's like our Steak and Shake is awful.
That was really it was named weirdly. What was it? And it was terrible.
Well, I just saw the word Zalids, so that's enough to make me be like,
It was the Big Zack Snacks meal, and it's just like 3 chicken tenders, fries, and like toast. Man, Raising Cane's is so much better than that. Even like Chicken Express is so much better. Well, at least the one I had, it was all soggy chicken. But you guys aren't here for chicken; you're here for Read 'em All questions. So for those that don't know, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Twitter, Facebook, we put out posts and tweets telling you guys to ask us questions so we can answer every single one on Reader Mail that comes out bi-weekly now instead of during the episodes of Triangle Squared. And if you ask us a question, it gets answered. Don't forget about YouTube. You can ask us a question in the YouTube comments, and we will throw a like on there. You'll see a little heart next to your name that we liked it, and that question will be answered as well. Didn't get one this week around.
Yeah, I think so.
So if you're ever watching us on YouTube, or let us know and throw a question in there, and we'll get it answered. So
yep.
We have food to eat and Kingdom Hearts to play and questions to answer. A pretty good day, if I say so myself. More so, Kingdom Hearts pushing that way up high.
Yeah.
So really excited.
We'll save Kingdom Hearts talk, the real Kingdom Hearts talk, for the next episode when we got more.
No. We may even save it for impressions. If we can get enough,
the first impressions of the year,
if we can get enough played, I would maybe like to record impressions on maybe like sometime, maybe Wednesday next week, and maybe have it out by the weekend possibly, but we'll see. That's all depending on my schedule.
Yeah, we don't want to overpromise anything. We'll see what happens, and if we get one out there, cool. Otherwise, you'll hear us talk about it sooner or later in non-spoilerly like fashion, so that we don't ruin the experience for any of you guys. But Saul, I think, let's see, did you cover all of our places? I mean, let's just go ahead and do that real quick. If you want to catch up with us and keep up with us on Twitter, where he said you can ask the questions, that's at Triangle SQRD. If you want to do so on Facebook, that group is Triangle Squared, a PlayStation podcast. Ask to join it. We will gladly let you in.
Don't forget about our Patreon, too.
You can support us on Patreon, where this goes alive a little as soon as we get done recording it. Like we said, we moved it so that we could guarantee that we have it recorded
by Friday,
that we're not having to scramble to get it out by Friday, and that problems with equipment or schedules or emergencies come up and ruin that, which is always possible, and we've had it happen to us before.
So it's Tuesday as of recording now, so you guys will more than likely get it on Wednesday, I would say, for a safe bet, just in case uploading.
Yeah.
So
let the uploading roll through.
You'll probably be hearing this today on Wednesday, July the 30th, instead of...
If you're a patron. If you want to support us on Patreon, you can also get cool custom cases that we do, or you can just support us in the show at any $1 or $5 tier.
Every quarter,
roll through it, whatever you want to do. There's a $3 tier as well if you really just want to kind of that in-between thing. But yeah, quarterly on the custom cases.
Yes, quarterly on the custom cases. We've been getting a lot of love on Twitter thanks to Brett's custom Kingdom Hearts case. So if you're here looking for any kind of info about that. We don't sell those at all. So you have to be part of our Patreon for a quarter. And that's at the what tier? The $5 tier at the minimum?
$5 tier.
Yeah,
yep.
$5 tier minimum. So you're only really paying $15. And
then you also get a lot of shows and podcasts and whatnot.
Early, yeah. So there you go. And you know, we also take questions from Patreon. We did forget about that. So if you have a question on Patreon, ask us on a post on there, and we will answer those questions as well. I think that about wraps it up. Brett, do you have a first question ready for me, or should I go?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Sure.
Because I'm an idiot and scrolled up.
Our good buddy El Chabib, who always supplies the great questions, he says, are there any genres that you dropped off of over the years of your gaming time? Mine were fighting games and sports games. Exactly the same.
Sports games I've never had a big penchant for. I think FIFA was probably my one example of sports games that I just really loved. And I guess they've fallen off, even though I didn't play them all that much, just because of the fact that there's so much stuff coming out that it's hard to, definitely at the time they come out, it's hard to just be like, well, I'm going to forsake everything else just to play FIFA, which is essentially the same game. It's also that you don't want to buy it. You know, there's that thing that compels you to play a game when you buy it. It's like, well, I spent money on it. I need to try and play it. But it's hard to want to go out and spend money on a new FIFA when I could just play the old one on my Vita and it's still similar enough, in my opinion, because I'm not that diehard, right? I'm not the person who immediately notices, well, the juggle mechanics are slightly different than the previous year, or the physics are slightly better. I mean, I notice it when I wait 2 or 3 years, but past that, it's just kind of me.
Yeah, I agree. I actually just Googled it to see. The very first sports game I ever played was Madden 2004 on PS2, and I played Madden games every single year and NCAA games every single year past that, up until probably 2009 or 10. I love those games. I even played Madden 2018. I find really, like, I don't really watch football. I'm weird with sports, and I'm only weird with 2 sports, and that's football and football, aka soccer. And I like football, and I like watching football during the Super Bowl season. So like when championship games are playing, I like to watch those because those are always high tension. They're always, I feel like they're trying their hardest at those games, so they're more entertaining to me.
Because you feel like there's more on the line.
Yeah, there's more on the line. And the same goes for soccer/football is World Cup. And I like watching around the World Cup. I don't keep up with team players. I don't keep up with the coaches. I don't keep up with all that. So you
just genuinely like the sport itself when it's at the height of competition in your opinion.
Honestly, I like football a lot, to watch football, but I've never been one to keep up with players. I've never been one to seek out games unless they're championship games going towards the Super Bowl.
But you'll sometimes notice the exceptional players just because it's hard not to. It's like soccer. I enjoy soccer and I watch it sometimes, but I don't keep up with players outside of the ones that are just ridiculous, because it's like, well, how are they that good? You know?
I only really keep up with those if it's like Tom Brady. I hear names.
That's what I mean. It's the
stuff.
ones who naturally float their way to the top, because like Tom Brady is essentially the quarterback for football. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't care about football, so I have no egg in that basket. What I'm getting at is that Tom Brady has been to the Super Bowl so many times that you don't even have to like sports to know his name.
Yeah, and
that's the same about Messi and soccer. You don't have to even really know about soccer to know who Lionel Messi is. You know?
Yeah, and like one of my favorite things that YouTube has started doing, and I guess it just naturally works this way, but after every game, within 24 hours on their trending page, there's 15 minutes of the best and worst plays or whatever. And it's just like, since I haven't watched any of these games yet fully, I've only watched like clips and stuff and like these kind of videos. Like the Super Bowl is next Sunday, or this Sunday actually. So I'll probably will try.
Wait, is that right?
Yeah.
God, man, I don't pay attention at all.
Well, like I will probably try to catch the Super Bowl on Sunday if depending on when I get off work, because I feel like we'll record Saturday, so I'll have Sunday free. Yeah. But it also depends on how far I am in Kingdom Hearts, because there's like this weird nostalgic thing with me and playing that game. That's where I really started to enjoy football. Of course, I was young, so like we played outside and played football a lot. So yeah, I never really cared enough about the sport though to like get involved. Like I know people who do fantasy picks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty much the exact same way, LGB, with sports and fighting games.
Yeah, I think the other thing to talk about real quick, and then we'll move on, because sports games, I guess, is a natural one. I'll give that to. Fighting games, I don't know. I never really just loved them, besides like, the childhood Budokai, because it was like getting to play Dragon Ball Z. Yep. That's a little different, though. But
no, not really.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's not. I didn't play.
It's like Smash Brothers when you're young. You wanted to play them because the characters. I
didn't play it because it was a fighting game either. Not even for the competitive sake. I didn't play it because it was a fighting game. I played it because it was like oh, I get to play as Goku. Yeah, I mean, and I think most people are inherently at least somewhat, competitive. So while you start playing it, yeah, you get the competitive edge of like, wow, I want to win. But I didn't go into the game thinking, well, it's a fighting game. I'm going to play it because it's a fighting game. Same with Dragon Ball FighterZ, if I'm being honest. It wasn't because it was a fighting game. It's because it's a video game that looked like a great graphical representation of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
As a series as a whole, and I do lightly enjoy fighting games, so it wasn't a hindrance, but like I've always said, like what I'm probably going to do with Mortal Kombat 11 is I enjoy playing fighting games just for if they have a good, well-told story, and if they do so in a great presentation. So like the Injustice games, I think that Dragon Ball FighterZ had an okay story that was told in a way that I think was a little bit... It was more for people who wanted it to be a long-lasting game with legs, and that kind of got on my nerves. Not necessarily... I know that they were catering to the crowd who really wanted the game.
Talking about Dragon Ball FighterZ?
Yeah. How you had to like go to the map and then like overtake sections until you got to the end. I just thought that was kind of
Isn't that similar to... that was similar to another one of their games, and I can't remember if it was Tenkaichi 3 or 2.
I don't remember
Budokai
that.
1 or 2 or 3, but it was... Well, I'm not saying exactly like that, but it was like a board game.
Well, and that was Arc System Works, so that was also the people who make the Guilty Gear games.
Oh.
Didn't know that. Yeah, so that wasn't a normal team. That was Arc System Works.
Well, I'm just saying there's a similar difference. Like it was either Budokai or Tenkaichi. I'm pretty sure it's Budokai. Maybe even Budokai 3, where the story mode was completely different than the other ones, where it was like a board and you had to like move across the board.
Maybe. I don't recall that.
It was one of them that felt really weird.
Anyway, that's what I was getting at. Fighting is a natural one, but I guess there's other ones that you end up naturally falling out of because they stop making games as often in that genre. I don't play racing games near as often because racing games aren't as prolific as they used to be. They don't come out near as often as they used to.
Yeah, and the way I took this is like games that are still somewhat like you can find. Yeah, there are still popular racing games in the communities that you
I play them.
Yeah. So like I'm talking about games that I really like. Other than Smash Bros. With friends, I don't play any fighting games. And other than Madden 18 for like a month, not even a month, like 2 or 3 weeks, I didn't even play a football game since like 2010.
Okay,
that was the first Madden game I picked up since then.
I've got you. Next question. Let's see. We got one from Donovan over here. He says, "Hello, friends at the Squared Triangle. What would you consider the most successful franchises on each console and PC?" That's a good question.
Well, Half-Life on PC, obviously. Either Half-Life, League of Legends, or Dota. And that's all debatable on what is what.
Well, it depends on what you mean by successful, too, because games like Dota...
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, like so...
Because they're free to play, so they are successful from a monetary standpoint, but what do you consider? Because Half-Life is also successful not only from a monetary, but from popularity.
Well, yeah, well, honestly, League of Legends is successful from both.
Yeah, well,
so,
because
like,
League of Legends is
and millions of dollars a year.
Free, but microtransactions, right?
No, well, it's been a while since I've played. You buy runes. So, like, you buy stats for your... Not really stats, but you buy, like...
But you don't have to, right?
No,
it's a freemium game.
Yeah. Like, but you buy characters and stuff. So
yeah.
I guess those are...
Just like on Heroes, where characters come in a rotation that you could use shortly, and you could try them out, but then you could buy them if you wanted to be able to use them out of rotation.
Yeah, exactly the same. So, I would argue, though, that, like, League or Half-Life, and that's word of mouth and money. Again, like, both of those games are, like... huge financial successes.
PC is a really hard monster to even try and think about what really is the biggest success.
I'm trying to think of something that sprouted from PC and stayed on PC for the most part, because Half-Life eventually came to consoles, and I don't think all of them eventually did they?
Half-Life 1 was on PS2, and then Half-Life 2 all of its episodes came to the PS3 with the orange box. So yeah, I think they've all hit console at one point or another.
So Nintendo with Mario or Pokemon's a good tie there.
See, that's what I was going to say too, is I think Mario is probably undoubtedly realistically it. The reason you know that is because it's normally one of the first games they try and get on the system. It's normally one of the games that continues to be a bestseller for it throughout the entirety of the life. Though I think that's true of other series in Nintendo. I mean, I don't think you can easily discount Zelda, but Zelda's still not on the level of Mario.
As much as I love Zelda, I felt like that even the phenomenon of the Pokemon in the 90s made that much more of a successful franchise than Zelda. Like, in terms of like,
and I'd even argue that right now Pokemon's a more successful franchise than Zelda outside of the and I don't mean this to the chagrin of I don't mean this to
I would say with Pokemon Go especially.
Well, I was going to say, even in general, I think that Breath of the Wild was the odd one out in being that successful of a Zelda game. I mean, they're all successful, but even though I think Link Between Worlds is a better game, it did not have the fanfare and
it did. Maybe not sales and stuff.
It did in the community, but it didn't outside. You know what I mean? Like Breath of the Wild is this thing that permeated well past everything.
He didn't specify, so like I'm going off of word of mouth and financial.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. But even at that point, I'm just saying that I think that Zelda as a whole series was really at its height in the, you know, when you think about Ocarina of Time, that's one of those biggest of all time things.
Yeah,
and I think that Breath of the Wild is really the first time since Ocarina of Time that the series has been that, you know, everybody was all over it and it was the defining game.
I would agree. Yeah.
So I think at that point, I'm still with you. I think that it's arguably between Mario or Pokemon, but I still think Mario edges at Pokemon.
No, it does.
Out.
Yeah,
so,
it does.
I mean, I think it's impossible to say it doesn't. And part of that comes from cheating to an extent because they make so many Mario games that aren't even Mario, but they're still considered it.
Like the Rabbids game?
I mean, yeah, you could, and that was a crossover, but that's still a Mario game. Then you got Mario Party, then you got Mario Kart.
Well, I'm talking about Mario as a franchise. Like Mario that.
But those are all as a franchise. That's what I'm saying. They're still under the Mario cap, but they're not traditional Mario games.
Right.
But even then, if you just wanted to say the traditional Mario games, I also think they outperform.
Well, it's the same for Pokemon. Pokemon Go, Pokemon Coliseum.
Yeah, but those games the side games never did as well as the main games.
They still did well though.
They did okay, but not like Mario Party and Mario Kart.
Pokemon Snap.
Yeah.
Alone.
Pokemon Snap was a big one.
But for Microsoft, I think it's easy to say Gears and or Halo. Mainly Halo.
I mean, I think it's fair enough to say Halo. It made the console and literally is still why people are fans of the console. So yeah, Halo, undoubtedly. Now, though I think Forza is slowly creeping up on it because they've been on an upward climb of people enjoying every entry, the next entry, even more than the previous one, whereas Halo's been on a decline.
I would say Forza has encompassed Gears. So it's Halo, or if anything right now, it's Halo Forza. Until Gears 5 comes out or whatever. That's been almost a dead
Gears
franchise.
4 was not as...
No.
It didn't spark any kind of flame as far as
there are people I know that love those series, and they stopped playing at that game.
Yeah.
Like, very similar to Halo 6 with me.
Yeah.
Or Halo 5, I mean, not Halo 6. Is there a Halo 6?
No, it's Halo 5.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was like, wait.
When you said 6, I was like, wait a minute.
But, and of course for Sony, we got, you know, I would argue... The Last of Us is probably the face of PlayStation gaming. For the most part.
I think if The Last of Us had more entries under it, it would be the undoubted winner. But I think it's Uncharted.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I still
because there's just more games under the belt.
Whenever I see somebody who buys a PlayStation and there's like, here's my haul, I always see Last of Us. I never see Uncharted. I always see Last of Us, Bloodborne, and then what is that? Oh, I'm blanking.
What's
not
it's a PS4 game?
Yeah, it was a PS2 game originally. And then they've remade it. There was a movie, Ratchet and Clank. I don't know how I forgot that. I've seen more Ratchet and Clank in these kind of pictures and more talking, but of course I know the numbers of Uncharted are definitely there compared to.
Well, that's what I was going to say, and word of mouth. Maybe not in pictures, and I think that's probably a fair enough point that I don't really see a lot. But I don't know. I guess it's a mixed thing. I do see Uncharted in a lot of pictures, but I guess that just maybe what corner of the internet you're in. But yeah, numbers, if nothing else alone, and the number.
Not to undermine Uncharted.
No, because I mean it's a massive franchise.
I'm just talking about like
that's how the reason you know Uncharted is their biggest one is essentially because every rumor points to them continuing on Uncharted without Naughty Dog's involvement.
I still need to play 4,
which means that they have to really believe in a franchise to think that it's going to thrive and live without its original creator. When no other franchise that they've had has done that.
I think that whenever I first get
Resistance flopped under bad developer to be fair, nihilistic, but Resistance on Burning Skies was
what did nihilistic do on the Vita?
Burning Skies and right. Black Ops Declassified.
Dude, Burning Skies looks like such a bad game. I don't even think that's a Resistance game.
No, I've
looked at gameplay videos before.
It's a mediocre game.
Yeah,
but it's not as bad as Black Ops Declassified in my opinion.
No, I know that. Yeah,
even though Black Ops Declassified actually looked graphically a little bit better, but it was just a shell of a game. No story.
Yeah,
no nothing.
Was there no story for that game?
No.
Oh well, what a waste.
There was just contracts you could do.
Our good buddy Richard says, any tips on moving up in the workplace? I have a lot, but
I'm moving up in the workplace. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think me and yours are probably pretty similar.
Yeah, it's mainly, and it all depends on what company or like industry you're in because it's all different.
Absolutely.
But honestly, it comes down to a couple things. It comes down to, and when you're new, you can't prevent this from happening, but it is to work as independently as you possibly can. Meaning, and this is why I said it's hard for a new person, is that like when you are starting out, you obviously got to learn the system and everything. But then it comes down to a point of where if you're there for like a year in your company, you should never rely on management telling you what to do if you work in a company that permits that. And what I mean by that is don't constantly badger your, anybody in your company, your colleagues or management on like, hey, what do I do now? I'm done with this. What do I do? What do I do? Don't do that. Just do something. Like if you see something that needs to be done, do it. And then that'll be good for two reasons. One, you're not interrupting somebody from their potential busy work schedule. Two, somebody's going to notice you doing that.
See, and the upside is I agree with Saul on that one, even though that's not one I was necessarily going to say. But I guess the point I'm about to say is that they'll notice, because there are people that will just do exactly what Saul did. And I consider them middle ground, people who do work, and as soon as they're done,
bare minimum.
Well, I'm not gonna say bare minimum, because where I was going with it is that you have people who are they're literally trying to stay busy the whole time, but they don't have any kind of inner drive as to figure out what to do on their own. So they want to work the whole time, but they always have to have this backing guidance of like, well, I'm done with this. I'm not going to wait, but I'm going to go ask whoever's in charge what they want me to do next. And that's like this middle ground person. They're trying to work and stay busy and do an honest job, but they're not necessarily going above and beyond and looking for what to do and knowing and thinking about, I'm going to go outside of what they sell and they'll notice me. Like, I think where you were getting at is that the other part of that, I guess I'll go there first. The other part of that is people who will do exactly what they're told to do and then won't ask anybody. They'll just be like, I'm done. They don't have to know I'm done. I'm going to fuck around.
Yeah,
and that's the worst side of it.
Or stretch out their entire workday.
Yes,
that they know they can.
Yeah, because they go, well, I can get done with this in 2 hours. I'll make it 4 hours.
Yeah, I'll just do it over 4 or 8. So don't do that if you're trying to move up, because people notice that. People, obviously, you are asking this question or you're thinking of this aspect of your life because you are at a new company you want to move up in. I'm going to tell you right now. Anybody, and this goes for anybody, I'm not talking to you directly, Richard, but listen closely. Anybody who's been working at that company knows your workload, and they should know your skill by the time they get to know you. They know how long that task should take you. People don't think other people pay attention to that kind of thing. They absolutely do.
And there are a few companies that you can maybe get away with it in, but that doesn't mean you're going to get moved up, because where I was going is that, and I think that this is maybe the next evolution of what you were going to say, is that realistically, they want someone who they can tell creates their own work, knows what needs to be done, looks for how to improve what is already being done.
Yep.
And essentially what they're looking at, and this is how I got so lucky as to move up over and time again. So I've been with my company for 5 years. When I first started, I worked in the shipping dock, which was a still okay job. But what happened is the rest of the shipping dock, some of it's just literally, it's even easier if you can tell the rest of your employees around you aren't doing anything to set themselves apart, then you can really push and try and make yourself noted. So what I did in that situation is go, okay, I know what needs to be done, and I know when people need to be helped. And with our type of work, we have salespeople who come and ask us for help and do stuff. I never double question them. I never tell them no. I immediately go and do it. As soon as I get back, I'll get to work on what I was doing if I had to stop doing it.
Yeah.
When customers come up in the shipping dock, which would happen occasionally, I wouldn't say, oh, well, you need to go find them. I would take the customer to where they were needing to go.
Exactly, yeah.
And that got noticed. So when a position came up, one person was like, well, I think Brett would be a good fit. And that was the head of logistics job. And so what happened is up front started asking people and be like, hey, do you think Brett would be a good fit? And because I had helped so many people and everybody thought highly of me because of that.
You got to mingle with different departments in doing so. So
exactly.
You made a repertoire for yourself.
Exactly. So everybody literally across the board was like, oh, he'd be a great fit. It got me where I was to be able to move to where I am now, which is in sales for the exact same reason. When I was head of logistics, I was going above and beyond, making sure that I could do even more, and then just finding out what I needed to do on my own, and then also starting to sell on my own when possible, to not only help out the people, but to give myself experience in something I didn't otherwise know, so that now I am a salesperson.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean, I guess, is finding your own path forward by paying attention to what other people are doing and either asking them to teach you occasionally without them coming to you, which shows that you have initiative and drive. And then also just picking up on things that you are, I'm trying to think of how to word it, but something where you can see what you need to be doing and you can kind of mimic it and learn it without having to necessarily ask somebody. That's real impressive. Well, if they can see that you know how to do a job that's not even your job without you ever even having to be told how to do it, that shows that you can adapt quickly and that you're a value to that company. Another
big thing is that there's a lot of don'ts in the workplace. If you're not in a good mood, don't let anybody know that, obviously. And this is, there's a couple things that I'm saying that when you finally get to that position and management knows you and you're more comfortable around management, you can obviously let things slide. But when you are trying to move up, people notice these things more and more so. And especially if you're trying to go from part-time to full-time or anything like that. And, tardiness, being sick a lot, like whatever it may be. If you're working with a company, my general rule of thumb is within the first 9 months to a year, unless it's a wedding or something or an unexpected funeral or something, don't just keep trying to request time off. Like time and time again, you'll go and ask, hey, I need this day off. Hey, I need that day off. They're not going to want you to be a part of their management team or any kind of an executive team, because they're like, well, he's here and we finally gave him full-time hours and now he's requesting, every one day every 3 weeks off. Don't do that. It looks bad.
And some of it depends on your company. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, I think we're getting. We could talk about this forever. That's why
could. I'm trying to wind down.
But I just to slightly interject there is that I think it does depend on your company, because my company now and your company, yes, because you already have like, okay, well, when you got hired on, and I know when I got hired on here that we have a set number of vacation week or vacation days or whatever, and they may be adjust.
I'm talking about before you make the move up.
But my example to the contrast of that is when you work in the right place, they don't frown upon that. But it just depends on what business you're in, and you really have to know.
Never heard of a person.
This is just the only example I personally have that's like this. They do not frown at all upon you taking your days off in healthcare, because most healthcare places you gain PTO by working.
Well,
so you only gain your time off by working.
With my current job, and then somebody else obviously very close to me, that's not a thing. Like mental health in like most medical places always is a joke. Like they don't care if you're overworked or tired. They don't care. Like if you,
I don't mean that. I'm just because when I worked at the hospital specifically, I was a transport tech, right? And no, they don't really care if you're overworked. And I could have moved up there, and I chose not to because I was like, I just don't really want that. But their idea about it is like, we don't care if you take off as long as you have the hours and you request early enough that we can cover your shift. And that's why I was saying, I think that, and they literally said, if you've got the time, we don't care if you ever take off. Just don't try and take off when you don't have the time.
I'm answering this question.
Hours.
I'm answering this question though with the mindset of you working for a company with multiple people that is on your level and you want to stand out against them.
True.
If you are the one that has requested off 6 times in the past 9 months, and then there's people who have not, and your workload's the same and you do the same job, they're going to take the person that has less requested days off.
Yeah,
the people who are working actually more.
There's a balance to it. I mean,
I'm just saying, if you work, if y'all both work 100% and you both do the exact same thing and you're both there every day, whatever it may be, if you were basically if you're to copy yourself and clone it, and you're working hard and you're both up for promotion, but one version of the clone has 9 days requested off within the first 6 weeks of being there or whatever. And obviously, if you're young, it's very easy, especially when you get to know colleagues, like. Big game releases. Oh, you're trying to take 3 days off for Kingdom Hearts 3, and you want full time? Because right now, like, I understand you want to do that, but you understand that I'm full time and I can't do that. So, do you need to come to terms now, or when you become full time, that you just can't do this anytime you want to? Yeah, obviously not singling anybody out, but I'm just saying that, like, if something like that happens, it's very common. People, management, executives, they're not stupid where you work. It's like a post I read on Reddit. Somebody was trying to request 420 off because that's his wedding anniversary, and nobody at his work would have it. He's like, but it's really my wedding anniversary, and they're like, no, it's 420. We're not stupid. But yeah, just come to work, do your job.
That's why you don't get married on 420.
Yeah, don't sit around and just loaf. Let people know you're actually working, but you can let people know you're actually working, not by telling them, not by asking for more work, but by letting them see you do more work on your own initiative.
I agree.
Next question, Brett.
All right, let's see. We have one from Mr. Josh Shoop. He says, what do you want to see Nintendo do in their next console?
Well,
this is a better question for you because you've used the Switch far more than me.
I mean, honestly, I would just like a better Switch.
Well, okay, that's actually...
We've talked about it in the past with the Vita. Well, I said my dream Switch would be what the Vita 2 would be.
Yeah.
And it's the same exact thing. It's thinner bezels, somewhat smaller design, better screen, better graphics. Carts could hold more memory on them, so that you're not
Now-
getting these weird carts like Final Fantasy X where it requires more space.
Yeah, which
Or
was
LA
the same
Noire.
on Vita. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's not. I mean, no hit against it when cartridges.
It's
You deal
also
with that.
advertised very ugly though.
Yeah,
That's not a word, but very
really,
ugly.
really terrible.
Big
looking
old white
on
and
the
blue
packaging.
packaging.
But I think he meant this, obviously, like what you're saying, where it's the next generation of console.
I mean, honestly,
But I'm going to cheat answer. I just want to see them make exactly what the Switch is. I don't care if it's the same chipset and everything. I just want them to make the Switch Mini, which is handheld only.
I mean, that's part of what mine is.
Yeah, that's essentially what I want. With thinner bezels, let me keep the screen size, cut the bezels down, bring it down by the amount of size that you're able to do, scale down the already. You know, what I'm getting at is that you're not really going to hurt the comfort level of the Joy-Cons. They're not honestly that comfortable anyway. They're comfortable enough.
Yeah, they're comfortable enough. They could be more comfortable if the right hand Joy-Con would be up top.
Yeah. If they would switch.
Honestly, I'm surprised they haven't made just a separate Joy-Con that you could buy like that.
With just the analog up front,
like
just if you want to.
Have the offset original or whatever come in the box, and then the Joy-Cons are only like what for a single one, 30?
No.
A pair is 70.
Maybe. I think they're 79 for a pair, which is crazy to me. But
I thought they were 69.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I remember buying some of them, returning them because I was like, "This is ridiculous."
I really thought they were 69, but that might have been during launch. Though I'm talking about now. Like I never needed more during launch.
Nintendo's not known to drop prices.
I already got a Switch. I'm about to have to buy another one, so I don't want to think about this. We need 2 Switches when Animal Crossing and the new Pokemon game comes out.
Well, hey, maybe by then a Switch handheld only will come out.
Yeah, that's what I want though. A mini,
and then you can just give Annie your Switch and then use the hand. Or do you want the TV functionality?
No, I don't use the TV functionality.
Okay,
that's more for party stuff.
And here's what I'll even say then. I essentially really mean when I say that I want the Switch to come out as a handheld only, what I mean is I don't want it to have a dock in mind.
See, I don't care about that.
All I really care about, realistically what they could do, because this is already what the dock does, it takes a USB-C port and then converts it out to HDMI. If they included in the handheld only version a dongle that let you plug the into the USB-C and go out to a HDMI so you could plug it into your TV and then you could connect a controller to it still because the UI would be the same, then what would happen is you wouldn't have the dock's ability to upscale and render anything.
They make things like that, but they're still docks. But they're really small docks. Like they're like 3.5 inches wide or long.
But one that you could essentially just plug into it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Instead of it being an actual thing that you're setting the console in. Either way, that's my point is you saw this with the PSP. You had the ability with the PSP to plug this thing in, set the PSP down, and then you could play it with your TV.
I forgot about
now,
that.
Of course, that was ugly because it wasn't intended to be on an HD TV.
Yeah, it was very.
But my point being is that we know that it can work, and it would still be 720p. The only thing I guess you'd have to worry about that 720p continues to look even worse when you actually move to a 4K TV from just a 1080.
Yeah.
But if you have a good 4K TV, it handles it all right. And I still think that it gives you the ability. If you're really worried about playing on a TV, it's probably, and I could really, maybe I'm wrong. I guess maybe you wanted to play Zelda at its absolute prettiest. But I think most people who play the Switch, because it's already not the best graphic console out there, are really wanting to play it on TV when it comes time to be like, well, all of our friends want to play Smash Bros.
That's exactly what I use mine with. Which when we get a new Switch, Annie's taking my old one because it's pristine condition or whatever. She does not care.
Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of want a new one anyways. And I'm kind of hoping or banking there's going to be a slim one out by then. But throw a glass screen protector on it, take the dock, and if I might put it in the game room. When I redo the game room, I might make a specific spot for that.
Yeah.
I doubt I'll ever use it, though. It'll literally be a charging dock, which...
Yeah, you just set it in there when you're done.
Exactly what it is now. So it has a functionality in that.
Yeah.
But next question, we have our good buddy Ryan. He says, if you knew for a fact that not following game media, and he means previews, reviews, let's plays, etc., for all games, not just the ones you're interested in, would it increase, and it would increase your happiness, would increase your happiness in life with the games you actually play, would you stop consuming it? This question is null for both of us because we both can't do this. With the nature of a podcast, it's really hard to not pay attention to games media.
And what the nature of this podcast is specifically. So what we actually act at, because I guess you could consider us games media, right? I think what you can do is that you can say that we act as an intermediate. We look at a lot of different news stuff, and then we choose the ones that we really want to talk about, and then we give our own spin on it and say whether or not we agree with these things, or if nothing else, we at least give our opinion on what's happening.
Right. That's what we're here for.
But I think I get where he's going with it. But and I think the flip side of us is that while we may be considered games media technically. We're not to the point where we're paid by anybody or anything like that. So we're not set up into an extent where we're giving it because of any kind of weird monetary value or anything like that. But I guess I'll ask this, Ryan. I get your point behind it, and you think that, you know, if you're not listening to games media, which I'm assuming in your mind means that when you consume it from a games media outlet that you think that it has more weight than it otherwise should. All I do is look at it exactly as how I think it should. This is one person's opinion. Doesn't matter if they're getting paid for it or not. This is an opinion. This is no different than me finding a guy, random dude in GameStop who was like, well, I didn't really care for Ace Combat 7. It wasn't that great to me. Not a game that I really enjoy. But hey, if you like flight simulators, maybe there's something in it for you. That's essentially how I look at reviews. Sometimes I see that people review games that they really shouldn't be, or covering it in general. But I guess the answer would be yes if I knew that I was going to for sure enjoy the games I was playing even better. But I don't have a problem enjoying the games I play due to media, is what I'm going to say.
I mean, yeah, and like honestly, it doesn't really affect me as much, or if at all, really. But I would probably not care. Like if I wasn't doing this, I would probably do what I did before, where I would keep up with stuff I liked, but I wouldn't keep up with the industry. Now I keep up with the industry more than anything.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't really keep up with the industry more than anything. I already did that, I guess is what I should say. I already had a vested interest to see how things are going to go, because the nature of the type of person I am, I like to try and analyze things and see where I think they're going to go. Doesn't mean I'm right by any standard. I'm wrong of a lot of things. But I like the idea of looking at it, taking what you can get from it, and then trying to figure out how it might go with that information. And games media sometimes help me with that, just as an intermediate between the, you know, giving me the information so that I can see it. And then we act as that as well. We end up giving some of you the information so that you don't have to scour and read articles. You could just listen to it through the comfort of your car or headphones or whatever, with just our opinion spun on top of it. And I mean,
I guess also that would fit reviews. So because he did say previews and reviews. So
yeah.
Honestly, it would be hard for me. I don't think, because that aspect of it would not make me any less happier though. Like reviews is something I actually look forward to, depending on the reviewer. ACG is somebody I watch
but
heavily.
That's because... No, I'll let you finish. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say ACG is somebody I watch heavily for the games I'm interested in. I don't watch everything he puts out, but if it's a game I'm interested in and he gets a copy early and he puts it out the day the embargo lifts, I'll typically watch it just to hear of performance issues.
And see, that's what I was going to get on. If you were already interested in the game, if you just looked at a few reviews that were like, it could have been better, are you really going to be like, well, man, I'm not going to even waste my time on it? You're just going to play it anyway, most likely.
Right, but if they say the frame rate can't go above 20, then yeah,
I'd rather
spend.
Yeah, because that's an objective
find that out
problem.
Spend $60, yeah, or however much it may be.
And I'm going to play devil's advocate there real quick, because if I did that exactly, and I get the thought behind it, it's like the thought process is like, well, I don't want to waste my money on something when I could buy something else that's more optimized and more.
It's not even about buying something else. It's just,
I mean, it's just about not spending your money, because your idea is that I'll spend that money somewhere else on something else. Doesn't matter what it is. Yeah. It's in a better state than what that otherwise would be. But if I kept that mindset and I looked at, so I bought it anyway. I bought Drakengard 3 before the reviews even hit for it. I'm fairly positive, because back then I didn't really look online as much. I don't know. I can't remember if there were reviews for it. But my point being is I already knew I was going to buy it, and I bought it. The reviews came out, they were giving it 6s. I don't even think that the reviews are wrong. I mean, if you really wanted to press me for it, if I had to say an objective answer, yeah, it's probably a 6 or 7 out of 10. It's got a lot of performance issues. It's one of my favorite games I've ever played, and I would be really upset with myself if I didn't buy it just because of performance issues.
So a good example of this that I always harken back to is Dirge of Cerberus.
Yeah.
If I would have read a review with the performance issues that were in that game, I wouldn't have bought in the game.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of money to me back then. So
and that's a little different, because it is about, now we're at a point where money is not a barrier of entry for us.
Even then, it's more of like, I just bought this game. I was looking forward to playing over this weekend. Now it runs like crap. I just wasted my money and time, which is way more important to me than money.
But and I get the time thing, but I think that's because, and that's why I was getting at, maybe we just view it differently. But I mean, the first Nier had some performance problems, nothing like Drakengard 3, but they're both some of my most favorite games ever. Because
I'm not talking about, if I'm interested in a game, it could be a wide variety of games. I'm interested in Resident Evil 2. Doesn't mean I'm getting Resident Evil 2 right now at all.
Yeah,
I've heard bad things about it, but I know Resident Evil 2. I know I'm going to like Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
But here's the thing:
I didn't know I was gonna. Where I'm going with that is I didn't know I was gonna like Nier.
Well, let's say there's an indie game that comes out,
but I just bought it,
and I see screenshots for it. Say that Moonlighter. I'll use it as an example.
Sure.
I'm not saying any of this is true. I'm like, that game looks pretty cool. I'm gonna keep my eye on that. and then like maybe 2 or 3 months after it's come out, which is roughly around now, a little bit longer than that, but still, I pick it up on a whim.
Yeah.
And frame rate issues. Like, well, this was a waste of money because I can't even enjoy this game because it doesn't perform like up to my standards. Because I'm a stickler for frame rate. If I'm getting drop frame rates on a game that I took a chance on, like it happened in Death's Gambit, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it enough to look past it. It happened in Nier, still looked past it because I enjoyed the game that much.
And Automata?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
A lot of them. I was playing Nier, that one on original PS4 though.
Maybe that's why I was playing on a pro on that. But
if it's a kind of game where I can look past these things, it doesn't bother me as much. However, there have been games in the past that for me, I can't look past them, and it's very obnoxious. It's very annoying. Like I was getting performance problems in Anthem, obviously, but still enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But it's a problem if it's a game I'm unsure of, that's when I go to the review, but I'm interested in it. 9 times out of 10, if it's a game I'll buy on a whim, it's because I'm sure I'm going to like the game despite its flaws. Reviews are more for like, I'm iffy about the game, but I'm interested in it.
And even then, I may look at reviews, but it doesn't really dissuade me from buying
The
it.
opinion of the reviewer doesn't dissuade me. It's the honesty of the performance of the game.
Yeah, but even the performance, that's what I'm getting at. I think it's just what we look more for in games. Even if they told me, well, the game kind of runs like crap, but it's an amazing story and all this stuff or whatever, like I already thought, I'm just like, I'm going to play it. I don't really care.
Right.
I guess more than anything, I just buy pretty much any game on a whim. I mean, yes, I may see some of the stuff about it, but it doesn't really play into whether I buy the game or not. Like Ace Combat, I haven't looked at a single thing for Ace Combat. My biggest thing about Ace Combat is I don't know personally. I'm thinking to myself, I enjoy flight games. Like I heavily enjoyed Infinite Warfare's dogfighting sections, but I like them in other games, but it's like those are just sections and I play them for a small period. How much would I like a game that's all you do? And that's just me.
Well, and
I mean, these are all really tight examples, but I just think across the board, like, let's go to one that we constantly pan. Fallout 76, the reason that I don't want to go for it is nothing to do. I haven't even read a single review about Fallout 76. I know that it has performance problems. That's honestly not even my main issue.
That comes into the part of play, though, with what he's talking about, because if you did this, you would not have been aware of all the problems that Fallout 76 had. All the legal problems, all of the scandals they've had, all
I wouldn't know they were there, but I still wouldn't have bought the game anyway because of Fallout 4.
With the jacket.
If that makes sense.
But still, it's like if you would have sworn that off, you would think Fallout 76, like, man, this might be fun. I might pick it up on a weekend. I'll have nothing else to play and play through some of it. You would at this point, would you even know it's an online game?
I mean, yeah.
How?
I mean,
you're not keeping up with.
If you're talking about,
if you went his route, though.
Well, I mean, because it's on the box, and as soon as I go to pick up the game and I see that it says,
would you know there's no NPCs? That doesn't say it on the back of the box.
But that wouldn't be my thing. As soon as I saw that it was online only,
see, that's why
I get where you're going.
I don't think I would ever be able to agree to like living in a life like that.
I wouldn't either, but that's just because in my mind I don't need to. I already gain the benefits of that without having to worry about it. And I get to have the fun of being critical to games, even ones that I sometimes like because they run poorly or they have some stupid element, whatever it is. I mean,
I don't. But
I enjoy doing that. It doesn't keep me from buying a game.
But yeah, I don't let people paint their opinion on me to enjoy a game or not.
Sure,
is what I was getting at with reviews.
Yeah,
I just look at reviews for performance things. And
okay.
ACG is the one that's commonly, not only is his voice ultra sexy, but
yeah, I like his reviews.
But yeah, this seems to be the most common. So if it's a game I'm curious about, I'll look at that. Next question.
Mr. Josh Ayers asked, do you guys believe the rumor about Final Fantasy VII getting an Uncovered-like event in April? In case you don't know what the Uncovered-like event is, he's talking about Final Fantasy 15's Uncovered event where they did a big event for it, had people go up on stage, showed a lot of stuff off, and then that's when they gave the little release date that they rolled up 2 months and then had to go back down.
I don't believe a word of it. And you know why? How many times have you seen a rumor be true based off an event previously to that rumor? Meaning the exact situation we're in right now. I've never once seen a rumor like this been proven true.
I don't know. I think the reason that people are more likely to even get the rumor out there is that in their mind they go, well, 15 had an Uncovered event and there's a precedent there for them to do an Uncovered event for a game. And they did it for Kingdom Hearts 3 as well.
Right, but the rumor, where did that come from?
Oh, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I haven't seen the rumor.
Exactly.
But I think that's probably why people even start with the rumor. Now, I'm sure the rumor probably came from somebody who has enough of a link to be able to say, well, I know people at Square Enix, and now that Kingdom Hearts 3 is out, out or almost out that they're planning on what they're going to do with 7. Now, don't get me wrong, that is true.
From what I've
Kingdom Hearts 3 is
seen,
out.
not seen a person or
Sure.
I've not seen a reference in.
I haven't seen this rumor either.
Period. Yeah. It's kind of spread. It's spread a little bit. I actually saw it on the PS4 subreddit a couple days ago. Or it actually has been. I think it's been about a week ago. But yeah, there's no base for it. They're just going off of what this happened for this game. Now it can happen with this game because this game's finally out. Until I see somebody say, or until I see somebody like, hey, what is this? And it's like a picture of like an event paper, and it actually looks official. Then it's like, well, there's a base there. I'm curious to see how this pans out. I'll give it the time of morning. I'm not gonna give it the time of day. I'll give it the time of morning.
Yeah.
This I'm not giving a time of my
anything
toilet water. I don't know what. I'm not giving it any time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously the precedent's there, and I think that I don't know that I believe the rumor, but if you just wanted to ask me in general, do I think that Final Fantasy VII may get an event talking about it this year? It's possible.
I mean, it's possible. Sure.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is down.
Anything's
that was
possible.
where the majority of their stuff went. Well, what I mean is like possible to an extent. Where I'll even say probable to an extent. Obviously, that just means that it could happen with a little bit of stuff behind it, but I don't necessarily know for sure.
Yeah, it's a no for me, dog. Both of them. Like,
even if they did it, it would be. I would imagine it would be something late year.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm talking about for what they're talking about now.
Yeah, because he says what in April? No,
yeah.
I don't believe in April, but it's. We'll see.
Obviously we'll see something by the end of the year, for sure. Question geared kind of towards me, our good buddy John. He says, will Saul actually get a VR and join us? And by join us, he means Brett, Ryan, who you may know from the previous questions, and John. If it goes on sale again for $200, I'll pick it up. But right now, I have a waiting to pay for, and then got to get a new TV soon. And then I've got to redo my game room, my man cave, my office, whatever you want to call it. So... I mean, one of the reasons why I don't have PSVR is right now I have a desk, an L-shaped desk, and I've talked about it before, but it's not as big as the desk that we're on now. It's smaller, and I really want to get a new desk setup that Brett's going to help me with, and it's going to come with that, and that's going to be after my wedding, and that'll probably be mid-March that I get the desk set up and everything and the revamp of my room. There's a lot of cluttering and stuff. I got to declutterize the entire area. I kind of did it about a month ago, but we have a cool idea that we're going to do for my office, and it's going to basically put up a setup for Annie next to me, or not next to me, but in the other corner of the room, from my corner. So it may come with that, but realistically right now, there's actually enough that's coming out for it that I'm like, I still like kind of want one. It's still not my price range of like, I'd rather buy a Switch for the same price, a new Switch, than that. So that's more on my radar than that.
And that just goes to show you difference in games. Because I mean, if I didn't have either right now, and I saw the VR and the Switch, I'd buy the VR.
It's just it's not just because of the games or whatever. But it's because of the hassle of like storing it, the hassle of having to use it every time I want to use it, and make sure that my camera is set up properly the first time so that it stays set up.
Yeah. And
then it's just honestly like Beat Saber would be the number one game I'd get. Beat Saber, the Resident Evil 7. I'd borrow that from you if you still had it. So
yeah, I still do.
I mean, yeah, for $200, I'll definitely get it. For $250, probably. For $300, probably not. Not right now.
If I don't know if it'll price drop again though, because they've been so.
I'm also worried about V2 coming out, which is the same predicament I'm in with the Switch. Why would I buy this now when they're potentially
about
in
to
the
come
next
out
6 months? There's going to be a new one, so I'm kind of waiting to hear towards the end of the year with PS5 and then a VR counterpart for that.
Fair enough.
Brett.
All right, let's see. We have a question from Mr. Josh Drago. He says, if you were to make a collector's edition, which game would it be and what stuff would you put with it? I like this question.
I do too, because I'm gonna make a rule for it that you can't break. It has to be for a game that doesn't have a collector's edition.
See, that's really hard because the reason I say that is, can we do games that didn't have a collector's edition in our territory but did overseas?
As long as me and you don't have access to playing it.
Well, even then we could buy one from overseas. That's why I was trying to say. Not on PS4.
I'm talking about for anything.
So the rule is going to be region locked.
US, yeah, region locked. US, one we don't have.
Okay, fair enough.
What you got?
Okay, I'm going to go, because we didn't, I want to go Resistance 3 Collector's Edition.
Didn't we get one?
Nope. We got a Move bundle where you got the gun, the sharpshooter bundle, but we did not get a Collector's Edition. European company.
That might be what I'm thinking of. I was like, okay.
And if I had to say what I would put with it, I just love the gun, and I think it's a really cool looking gun. So I would get the auger. I would have them make a scale
That's
auger.
the one that looks like it's. I can't really describe it. It's not angular. It's like it's spherical.
No. The auger is.
It's the one with the long barrel that has more rounded edges, right?
Hold on.
I'm 99% sure I'm thinking of the right gun.
This gun right here can shoot through walls, and it's a dope looking gun.
That's not what I'm thinking of.
Anyway, yeah, that's the auger. I would get a life size or at least close to it auger because I think that gun looks really cool. I think that the whole Chimera tech in general looks really cool.
I'm thinking about like a real life auger.
Oh yeah,
like the long barrel, the rounded butt, or the more rounded butt than anything. It's a very roundy gun. But so Resistance 3.
Yeah, and I love that game, and I was so bummed because, I mean, realistically, I would take any, if you gave me any, I would take a bust of a Chimera. I think that they have a cool enemy design, and I think it would look cool to just have, from the chest up, a bust of their face. I think that they look cool.
That would be really cool. If Resistance 4 ever comes out, it needs to have one.
That would be awesome. I bet the Resistance franchise never got as big as even Killzone. That's why Killzone got, definitely not. The helmet that's back here.
The Hellgast helmet.
The Hellgast helmet that's very similar to what they did with Halo 3 where you lift the helmet up and that's where the games go and whatnot. It's just an easy way to store stuff like that. But, I mean, I would take any Resistance 3 one, but I think that's a game that gets underappreciated? Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the word you want to use. I think that it was a really great game, and it still baffles me that with all the stuff that they've redone collection wise, definitely when they did collections for remasters so heavily during the PS3 games 3 days, why they don't do the same thing now with Resistance 1, 2, and 3, and then even Infamous 1 and 2. So for you, what's
Final
up?
Fantasy Crisis Core. Final Fantasy 7 Crisis Core.
Crisis Core wouldn't be dope, but what would you want?
A foot tall or a 13-inch tall statue of Zack Fair. The same stance he's standing on at the end.
Okay, so I dig
that right there. And then as a bonus, you can get a couple things. You could get one of their phones that's in the game.
Okay,
I always thought those were cool for such that's old flip phone style technology, but still cool. Or you can get Angeal's necklace. No, Genesis necklace.
Oh yeah, no, dude.
Sure.
Genesis stuff would be cool. Well, I guess while you're looking that up, I would say because collector's editions always come with small little knickknacks too. For the Resistance thing, I would also want a orange because the Resistance 3 cover art is beautiful. I'd want it on a steelbook because I like steelbooks.
It's not in Genesis. Who had the necklace I'm thinking of? I really thought it was Genesis. It might have been Angeal.
I don't remember Angel having a necklace because they wore the soldier first class little turtleneck thing. Yeah. So why would they have a necklace?
I thought I remember a medallion. No, I don't know. I'll have to find it eventually. I also might be remembering it wrong, but
yeah, I'm not sure.
But yeah, so I can't remember. But anyways, so yeah, definitely a Zack Fair statue would be pretty dope.
Okay.
Let's see. For me, we will pick. Have you seen the new foot controller for PSVR? Do you think it'll make games better since you won't have to do that teleport travel? From Sean Horn. I have not seen this foot controller.
Okay, so I'll explain it to you. It's a third-party controller, so it's only supported by maybe 18 games or something, I think is what they were boasting at launch, which is not awful. Essentially, you put it down on the floor. It's a half circle. You put your feet in it. It's got these little stirrups so you can sit on there, and then it's got a accelerometer in it, so that whenever you lean your feet forward, you'll walk forward. If you lean your feet back, you'll walk back, and then side to side, you can strafe.
Yeah,
and you can also spin it. So if you want to turn your character, instead of having to do it with an analog stick or whatever, you literally just take your feet and spin them.
That would be the only way I'd play a teleport game because I hate those. That's why I would not.
Well, it would take away the need for teleportation, and I wish that this was a first.
That's what I'm saying.
And I know it's just one more thing to have to support, but I almost wish that this was an actual Sony-made peripheral, much like the. Already underutilized aim controller.
See, dude, that's another reason I haven't gotten a VR is because it's not as supported as I want it to be. Despite the great games for it, Sony has seemed to keep it kind of on the back pedal. And I don't like that because it makes me worried. Because
what do you mean in terms of peripherals for it or games? Because
peripherals,
the biggest games are from them.
The coolest,
Firewall and whatnot is them.
But anyways, it's mainly peripherals. Like peripherals would be cool. They could have done so many cool things. They could have done a dope ARM controller that you could have a fighting game with. They could have done a couple things that would have been cool.
And I get that, but why? At least on that example, this is a perfect time of why create extra things that are unnecessary whenever you can do the fighting game with the move controllers and
it
it works
just might
perfectly.
be cool for some people to have, like
Sure.
a Nintendo Power Glove.
Now, I think the gun was important for them to make, and I think they knew that because first-person shooters are going to live and
it's
breathe.
very limited. You can't find it, just about anywhere.
That's the biggest problem is keeping up with it.
That's the thing.
Even move controllers right now.
Where could you buy a move controller right now?
I don't even know.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's a very scary problem to have.
The upside of that, real quick, while we're just on that, is that I hope that means that they're gearing towards a PS5 announcement with a VR2 announcement that says, "Hey, we're not going to do move controllers at all anymore for the next VR.
It'll be all
camera based, and we'll have new controllers with analog sticks."
The Vive technology called, I forgot, but it'd be based on something like that, or the HTC Vive, or
just multi-point camera tracking is all. I mean, essentially what it comes down to.
I guess camera tracking is it. Yeah, I was thinking of something else. But yeah, I might be interested in playing games with that instead of teleporting. Bredifer.
Okay, another question?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Well, yeah. That's your turn.
Okay. Let's see. Josh Shoup asked, what do you think Square Enix should do next? I would love to see games like Brave Fencer Musashi come back. They have amazing IPs such as Parasite Eve, Bushido Blade, amongst others laying around. It would be great to see them go that way instead of just Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest.
I actually don't have an answer for this.
This is a great question, but
I don't know what I want.
There's a number of things. I think what I would really want to see is for them to give Brave Fencer Musashi the same treatment they're giving Final Fantasy VII and reboot/reimagine it. I think that's a great way to bring up some of these things. But just to go towards his point, I get where he's kind of saying like they're sitting on a lot of IP, but for a long time they sat on Dragon Quest. So the fact that Dragon Quest is coming back so strong,
not only in the West.
Well, yeah, not in Japan.
Yeah,
but if we're going to say just they're a global company, so let's just talk about them on a global scale. Outside of Japan and China, you didn't really see Dragon Quest for a long time,
right? But they still weren't really sitting on Dragon Quest at that time.
Yeah, so I guess that's fair enough to say is that Bushido Blade and all these other games have not even had an entry in Japan. But yeah, I think the fact that Dragon Quest did so well over here. When they finally decided to come out with it over here and do a new one in general, I think that that's a good sign across the board that maybe they're going to look and say, you know what? Let's stop sitting on IP, because Parasite Eve has gotten used for the third birthday on PSP back in like 2010, 2011. I can't remember the exact year it came out. And it wasn't a terrible game, but it wasn't an amazing game either. Like, I did enjoy it. It was a good use of the PSP, but I think that Parasite Eve deserves a more full-on entry than that. I think that, I definitely think Brave Fencer is a great game to come back with. But they just have so much IP. And I think that Square Enix needs to do what Capcom has been doing these past few years, and they need to, and I think Kingdom Hearts 3 may be a step in that right direction, and if they don't mess up with Final Fantasy VII a remake, we're again seeing a step in that right direction, whereas Capcom were kind of going under for a while, and people weren't really caring much about them, but then we got Resident Evil 7, which did very well for them, and was a big game changer for them, and showed that they knew that they were stagnating on franchises. Then we got them to come out with Monster Hunter, and changed it up, and made it to where it was doing better and not stagnating, and it really revamped that whole series and brought in a ton of new fans, and showed that they cared. And even the fact that they still support it the way they do shows they care. And then most recently with Resident Evil 2 remake being so great for what people wanted from the remake, I think that you're seeing them get themselves back right in the eyes of the gaming community, and I think Square has to do that before they can really start trying to bring back franchises, because otherwise you'll just have people going, oh, they're bringing back Brave Fencer Musashi, but they're just going to ruin it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
you've got to sow goodwill before you can start making those steps.
In the vein of this question, because for real, I don't think I have an answer to this question until I see Final Fantasy 16. I think I'll have more of a leg to stand on after that. But in the vein of this question, Sean Horn also asked, do you think there will ever be another game like Bushido Blade? I like the realistic damage where you could lose one of your arms or legs. I kind of hope so, because systems like that really are, it's kind of weird to say, but it's it's like a novelty, but it's a really good novelty. It's
agree.
A different thing to see, and it's always a breath of fresh air in a way.
But it makes you think, are we in a position now where the majority of gamers would appreciate it, since they obviously didn't appreciate it enough before? Because if we look at this from a sheer business perspective, if Bushido Blade did amazing, they would have kept making it. There's a reason that Final Fantasy comes. It's their biggest franchise. It's a franchise that saved the company when it was Enix going to go under. Or Squaresoft, I'm sorry. So when you think about these things, businesses do not stop making things that are making money. So Bushido Blade obviously wasn't appreciated enough. So does that mean that idea didn't deserve chance elsewhere? It's hard to say, but I think that those are the things that keep companies from immediately wanting to jump to those kind of revivals. But I mean, I agree. I hope so. I think that's a cool thing. And I actually think if you look at what we're seeing in some games now, we're going back towards people liking more in-depth mechanics like that.
Yeah.
When at the time that Bushido Blade came out, people were really just into fast action that wasn't realistic.
And how much of a chore it was.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, yeah.
Well,
I guess
some of that's because of
period,
limitations, right? And you don't really care about the fact that you lose control of your arms and whatnot, or you lose limbs. You're like, whatever. It doesn't really look or work exactly like it would be able to nowadays, right?
Yeah.
It would look more fluid. It would feel more fluid. It would make sense.
It would be interesting to see that now.
Yeah, and I think that there's just more gamers now than ever, so there's more people to appreciate that type of
first-person Bushido Blade VR game.
Bam, bam.
There we go. So since that was a tail end question answered, we'll go ahead and answer another one from our good buddy John. He says, if PSX 2019 is happening, will you guys be attending? And then he tries to catch us with, and what do you expect to see? Well, you'll just have to wait till the PSX 2019 episode, buddy, because I ain't about to talk about that now. You think you're going to get us. I ain't going to let you, because I have a lot on my mind that I want to see, and I want to talk about it then, because we have a bad history of talking about things and doing topics about them still, like Game of the Year stuff, where I like inadvertently said what my Game of the Year was going to be before I played Nier. So,
but it can always change, you know what I mean?
It can always change, but then if it doesn't, it's very stale because you heard it already. There's no bigger reveal.
To answer the question, absolutely. If they say it's going to be there, I'm there. Any year that there's a PSX, I will be there.
I will actually be able to swing that weekend off. Like, I'll be able to play around and make myself off that weekend, so I will be there too. We just got to get it scheduled ahead of time and get Roscoe's chicken and waffles and have some fun. So yeah, hope we can, John.
Good times. All right, let's see. Another question from Donovan in here. He says, do you think scene culture will return this year, aka 29 scene movement?
Nope, it won't. And it'll stay dead in 2008 where it belongs, because
I think
there's the theory behind that everything happens every 10 years.
I think you really are discounting how much people are into that.
Listen, I was into that. I don't want to see
I don't mean scene. I'm talking about how much people are into bringing things back that were culturally
did you see what happened?
Waitful, you know what I mean?
Did you see what happened with the 90s? Where that was the one that didn't happen after 10 years. It happened 20 years later.
Yeah. So, it can always skip. It may not be this year. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be 10 years from now. Yeah, which is what I'm saying.
I mean, it could be.
It was roughly 10 years ago that it was big.
But I think that you're already seeing enough people share videos and stuff that are talking about emo back in 08 and 09. People who are talking about bands and...
Name me two good Christian core bands right now.
That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm saying is that you're seeing... I'm saying that the let's see, the culture will come back. That doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be a band.
No, the music has to come back for the scene to come back.
Well, no, the music, that's what's great about music, right? Music's everlasting. Everybody can just come back and be like, you know what? I kind of dropped off from being a Hawthorne Heights fan, but this year I'm coming back strong.
No, I mean, good for them, but like I want new stuff.
And that's more emo than just scene.
I got my fill of that 10 years ago, and I still listen to some of it to this day. I want new stuff.
Well, we'll see what that happens.
I'm a true
I'm going to say that I think there's a good chance.
I'm going to say hope not. Let's see. Our good buddy Sean One Neo comes in with a good old question, saying in this week's episode, reverting back to episode 94 of the podcast, he says, Saul gave the impression he's fed up with zombie enemies. What other enemies would you like to see in the future? You also said you would like to see Siphon Filter make a return. It too was a fad. I too was a fab.
Fan.
Okay.
I too was a fan. That's why you don't just copy stuff, you know?
I should go
try and pay attention to the context.
But that's fine. I too was a fan. But do you think it'll hold today with GTA, Uncharted, and The Division? So to answer your first question, I'm not exactly fed up with zombie enemies. I'm fed up with the way they work. Like, I'm fed up with like the culture, because there are games like The Last of Us. Yeah. And I'll replay, which are essentially zombies, even though that's technically not what they are. Yeah. I will replay that, even though they act and behave just like what the zombies in Days Gone could be. That's fine. Now, I will also go back and replay. Excuse me, I'm having to mess with my computer to make sure it stays alive for the rest of the episode. I would also have to say that Days Gone? No, Dying Light is another type of different game that would refresh the series for me, or the series, but the genre, the culture of zombies, because it's different. You got that timed mechanic like Minecraft where it gets dark, you got to run. It's frightening too. It's not just like, oh, well, here's this other guy wandering down to me. Very similar to State of Decay is what I keep comparing State of Decay to Days Gone, because they're the closest in this term that I've played lately, where it's a big old open world game where you're driving around exploring. There's zombies out in the wild. Hard to say another game like that.
Okay.
They're totally different games. They're totally different budgets, everything like that. But
yeah,
it's
very different scale.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's very different scale. But it's not that I'm fed up with like zombie enemies 100%. I'm just fed up of seeing them in the nature we've been seeing them in. Where it's one reason I haven't gotten Resident Evil 2 yet. And I want to get Resident Evil 2. But that's more of a nostalgic thing that I can look past more so than actually feeding into something like
because it's not like another new game that's trying to do it. It's more of like a recreation of a game I already enjoyed that did it. Nostalgia is a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
And I guess that actually leads into my answer of being able to come back with Siphon Filter. I do think that Siphon Filter, for fans of the series, it would come back pretty strong and be able to do well. And if they did enough to try and go against it, I think the real contender would be Ubisoft games, because I think that's the most similar type of games. So something like The Division would be the real competitor. I don't think things like Grand Theft Auto would really mess with it.
I don't either, and I do agree with Brett that I am hoping that it returns in a similar fashion. I do think that Ubisoft would be the one to give it the most, comparisons. The most people will make comparisons to those games closer than anything else if a new Siphon Filter was to come out. To answer the question about what other enemies, I would like to see horrifying space aliens. Like, I want horrifying alien. Like, I want to think Dead Space. Still kind of zombies, but whatever.
Yeah, necromorph.
But it's still one of those things that's like, well, I guess the better way to summarize it would be aliens in the sense of like H.P. Lovecraft. Like great ones, old ones, great beings, whatever they may be, Cthulhu style stuff. Like I want terrifying new enemies that would be, I just want good at a Lovecraft game. Like that's all I really want. And like that's the enemy that comes to mind. Because you're always going to see.
Then play the Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu.
That one came out, right?
Yeah, it's out.
Okay, I might have to play that.
And our listener Dan, also our patron, shout out. He said he really enjoyed it.
Good, because I will have to play that game.
I need to still get it. I've got so many games that I realize I've bought and have not played. Far Cry 3 Classic Edition being one of them. There's just no priority for it, not right now.
No, dude. Yeah, like Destiny got a massive update today.
I know.
Massive
I saw.
Update. Like there are so many things about this update that I've been wanting for the past like 5 months.
Yeah.
Or not quite that long, but ever since Forsaken came out, so 2 or 3 months, that they're fixing.
September. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess that has been a while. Yeah. Time flies. But I'm not going to jump back into it. I'm like, Nova Bomb finally got a buff. That's what I've been wanting to get a buff for a while now. But anyway, so yeah, like some really dope space aliens.
Okay. Another question from Donovan real quick. He says, what would your ideal gaming room setup be? Cost isn't a variable, including TV specifications, etc. My answer will be quick. That way I can move Saul's into his. My gaming room setup is almost exactly where I want it. I would want a little bit more LEDs because I think that is a cool look. But essentially, I've got it. My room doesn't need to be massive. I don't need a bunch of stuff. No. All I need is a good OLED TV, and your boy got one now. Spent a lot of money on it, but you know what? I'm excited. Kingdom Hearts 3 looks beautiful on it. Every game I played looks beautiful on it. So essentially, all I would want is a little more places to nicely store my. I guess the problem is that the set has become partially my thing. It's like, well, this is where all my cool stuff sits now, and I enjoy looking at it. So the game room, I just want it to be comfortable for gaming. So I guess I need a good recliner that's comfortable. That's about it.
Yeah, if y'all know of a good recliner.
That's not massive either.
It's something no. I'm not talking about you now at this point. I'm talking about like that's as wide as a queen size bed.
Okay.
That is that cushiony. Let me know. And your boy, yeah, you go do that. Your boy is on a budget. Like $500 or less for that kind of recliner because Brett really almost destroyed the camera. The HDMI cable got caught on Brett's neck for a split second on the back of his collar. But anyways, for my ideal, yeah, that's why it's shaking like it is. My ideal setup is kind of what I have going on now. L-shaped desk in a nice dark corner of a room that I call mine. That's separate, somewhere I can kind of escape from reality and just kind of go and chill. And that is one of my biggest things. When we moved, we specifically moved into a 2-bedroom apartment, even though we don't have kids. So obviously, I wanted to create a place that is my own, that I can go in and relax and kind of escape when I need to. if I had to set up one exactly with no budget, I would probably have 24 to 27 inch 4K HDR monitors for my PS4 Pro and my PC. I would have a top of the line gaming PC that would cost really only $700 more for me to put a graphics card in a new, like a RTX 2070 into what I have now. And that would really be it. Like a big old nice comfy chair. I have a DX Racer, but I really want to get a recliner. That makes me sound like a 40-year-old man. I hate that word recliner for some reason, but I really want to get something like that and just have a nice setup where I can really chill out for long extended periods of time and be 100% comfortable in. To throw away a question, John asked, thoughts on Days Gone? John, we did a good old episode about that. Go check out episode 94, because you're definitely going to get your question answered there, at least from my perspective. And I know Brett talked pretty heavily about it.
I think we talked about it for a good 30 minutes.
Another question that I can answer at pretty well is, another question from John. He says, do you guys need more Guardians? If so, I'm willing to jump through it with you guys as long as there's no password to join. Stare Saul. There is a password, and it's like 234, I think, or 2324, 2334. I don't know, something like that. Right now, honestly, we got a lot of people who are playing Destiny with us. We got a clan going. If you want to know more about that, let us know on Twitter or Discord.
And whenever Kingdom Hearts 3 is not as fresh as it is, we will play with you.
That's where I was getting to, is that right now, Kingdom Hearts 3 is the biggest priority in my gaming life. So I still will probably hop on at least some point during this week to play some Destiny, but it will be not until probably next reset that I will play Destiny, so next Tuesday. But if you want to get it with us, we have a clan full of about 9 people now. And we all have a couple people that need to go through the story. So maybe we can wrangle up 3 of you guys together and y'all can go do it. And or you could join us and we can lead you through it. That's the one thing about joining the clan, is that if you're not up to level, at this point, I hope we find enough people that can help you out to level you through. Because a lot of people are kind of doing that now.
Yeah.
So, but don't be afraid to join, because if you can't find somebody who will do it with you, which you don't have to have somebody, you can do it all 100%.
Look, what we hope is that we shepherd people through, and then the niceness of their heart, they'll shepherd people through, so that we're not just constantly playing parts of the games that we played.
I can only play the campaign so many times, and I got 3 characters.
That's what I'm saying.
So, but yeah, I mean, if it comes down to that, I'll definitely help you out, buddy. But
see, a couple more quick questions that I like that I don't think require just too long of answers. What was each of your most embarrassing trends you followed, aka emo clothes, fanboying, social activities? I have no shame, and that's really pretty much true. So I honestly don't know the answer to this, because I'm not embarrassed by any of the things.
I'm not really embarrassed
I was into emo clothes. I was into metal clothing for a little while. Of course, I fanboy. I mean, everybody fanboys over things you like. It's just part of liking and consuming art and media and everything like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not really ashamed of Dungeons and Dragons or gaming or anything. I've never have been. So,
not really. I would say that if like somebody else was to find something embarrassing about it, it'd probably be like my scene phase. But I wasn't like hardcore scene with like neon colors and stuff. It was all like gray skinny jeans from PacSun and a Bullhead brand.
And I guess even what it comes down to is, yeah, you could say somebody else could find something. And I guess that's what he means is, if somebody came up to you right now and showed you a picture, which I guess obviously you're not embarrassed because you just shared one. I
literally posted one on Twitter from the 2009-2019 challenge.
I guess that's what I mean is, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm embarrassed by
I'm sure
anything.
Somebody can be like, look at him. He's a scene kid. I'm like, well.
Okay. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, look at me now. So. And
actually, when people go, well, if somebody looked at my metal phase and was like, oh, look, he's, which I used to love, are you gothic? There's nothing to do. At a point where people ask me that, like, I'm dressed as a metalhead. Then when I started dressing a little more emo, never to the extent that Donovan did. I know that's what he's talking about when he says emo and scene. But even then, man, if you just looked at me and were like, man, you like emo music? It's like, yes, I still like emo music. I'm still the same little emo kid.
Yeah, my music taste, I literally still listen to dance, like original Dance Gavin Dance music from 2007, and I still listen to Day to Remember from 2008. I think it's for those that have heart came out, I think. But I'm not that.
I don't think it was that old.
2006. No, dude. Oh, yeah.
For those who have heart, I think was an 010 album, right?
That was Homesick. That was 2010.
Yeah, I think you're right.
For those who
2007 for those who have heart.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, that's the good one right there. I mean, Homesick was.
No, that's a great album. I don't really care for Homesick. I mean, I know you love it.
That's my favorite one. But anyways, so our last question from John, since he kind of spitballed us some questions out there, he said, and I like that, by the way. For those, if you want to spitball us questions, like 10 or 15 questions at a time, go for it. There's no hate there at all. I will say that just because you do that doesn't mean every question will be answered. There may be some we throw in a vault, specifically when Donovan asks us 25 questions.
Yeah.
So obviously we're not going to answer all 25 questions, but if you don't mind having us answer questions later on, maybe when we get slow and we need to supplement our reader mail with those kind of questions from a backlog, feel free to do that. I actually love it. And what I'll do is I'll just pick, at least on Twitter, since I know Brett does Facebook, I'll pick like the first 10 or first 5 or 6, and then we'll do it in chronological or numerical order, I should say. So the first question you ask will be answered for sure, or like in batches if you do that. So I know if you do that, like what John did, that's fine. I don't care. He says, was there a game that you played but really wasn't interesting, but the music is what motivated you to get through it? Undertale.
That's an interesting one.
Picked that game up on Steam, and I was playing it for like an hour, and I'm like, this game isn't as good as what people made it out to be. And if it wasn't for the music, that literally I thought about it, and I still listened to the soundtrack, and I was like, this music's really good. I'm like, I kind of want to play this music or play this game just to listen to the music. And I got through because the first hour Undertale's pretty slow.
Yeah.
I'd say first 45 minutes, but yeah, like once it starts picking up, you're like, this game's really good.
So the music like worked you until the game was interesting to you again.
I mean, it was never interesting to me to begin with.
Okay.
Like Undertale started off, I'm like, oh, this was kind of like a cute, like little, it's not even 8
throwback, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, this is a cute little throwback game, and like, I'm not really having a whole lot of fun with it. I got it on a Steam sale for like, I think $4.99. So a really good price. But I ended up like playing through it. I'm like, oh, well, I'm not really having fun with it. But I'm going to keep playing it just to listen to the music for a little while. And I might pick it up, or I might have fun. I'm going to give it a chance. So like the music is what kind of convinced me to give it a chance.
That's what I was saying. And then eventually it was a fun game too.
Yeah, it was like the music was so good that it was like, there's more to this game. And I know the music isn't the best part.
Yeah, I don't have an immediate example for that one. It's a good question. I don't have an immediate example. So I guess I'll kind of skip for now. Let's see, last one for this little section of the Facebook. It says, could you ever see Microsoft entering the handheld market? Honestly, no.
I think we answered this question last time, didn't we?
No, we didn't.
Wow, I must have thought about this. No, I don't think they will. It's very similar to Windows phones. They were a failure. They're actually telling people as of like a week ago to like buy another phone because they're about to stop supporting Windows phones. They're gonna become what I'm gonna assume.
Because there's no reason for it. Yeah.
The Windows app store is terrible. I don't think it'll ever happen. If anything, they'll supplement themselves onto another handheld, like kind of what they're doing with the Switch, honestly.
Or realistically, this is what I'll say. If you want to consider them streaming to cell phones, them entering a form of the handheld market, because it is a handheld, but it's not
technically
dedicated. But the thing is, I don't think, even though I wish that this is what the Vita 2 would be if they ever made it, I don't necessarily know that we'll ever see another dedicated gaming handheld that is an actual like new tech trying to push gaming forward. I mean, you'll see stuff like the Soldier game handheld or whatever that was, all those ridiculous things, but those are not new dedicated handhelds.
One of the best things in the world was watching that John Tron video, and he's like, you could have just called it the Soldier Boy. Like the Game Boy, and you're gonna call it the Soldier Boy or the Soldier Boy Mini or something.
Yeah.
He's like, you could have just called it that, or the Soldier handheld, or the Soldier, whatever it was called, Soldier Mini. Let's see. So I got 2 questions left.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
On yours, I mean, I actually have a little bit more, but
okay,
we'll get there.
Good buddy Blake, he says, may have answered this before but can't recall. We definitely haven't. He says, if you can go into battle with 2 weapons from a game, what would they be? Basically, what's your favorite 2 weapons from any game? And it can be separate games.
Ooh, okay, Donovan, real quick, buddy. You asked way too many questions.
I don't mind if you do stuff like this. And
we'll have to answer some of these other times.
I'm not talking about just Donovan, but I'm talking about if you want to submit us like 30 questions like Donovan did, just know we're not obviously going to answer all those in one reader mail, but we will hold them back and answer.
We've answered a lot of Donovan questions, so I'm going to hold these for another one.
Yeah, we'll answer like 5 or 6.
And we got some other ones to go. But go ahead. What was the question? I'm sorry.
If you could basically pick 2 of any video game weapons and charge into battle with them, they could be from different games. What would they be?
Oh boy, the auger from Resistance. That's one of them. Obviously, the ability to tactically see and shoot through a wall is obviously impressive. What you need, you can be very tactical and save yourself, because here's the thing: we are not video game characters, even if we have their weapons. So having weapons that's
why I picked a certain weapon that came to mind when he said this, even though it's not one of my favorite video game weapons.
Oh, okay.
I was more practical about it.
Okay, and my other one would be, and see, this is where I almost want to say Leviathan Axe, but that also requires you to be able to throw that motherfucker. So
Leviathan. Oh, never mind. God of War.
Yeah. So think about it. Yeah, you'd have the ability to be long range, and but then you also have to be able to throw that.
Are you strong enough to even hold it up?
I don't know.
The question.
Yeah.
I thought you meant Leviathan Destiny, and I was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Because there's axes in the Leviathan. So I was like, what weapon are you talking about?
True. But I'm trying to think of a second one. The Auger is a great answer, in my opinion. Something I think I'd be able to use that would be fun, the Sunshot from Destiny 2. I just think it's a cool gun.
They need to buff that gun real bad.
Yeah, they do.
So I have one that may be considered kind of overpowered. How does the Hammer of Dawn from Gears of War count? Like, do I have to have the, like, obviously I have to have the satellite for it to shoot down the beam of destruction. But
yeah,
but all you have to do is point it.
But isn't the satellite part and parcel with the weapon? So, I mean,
that's what I'm saying is that the
weapon wouldn't exist.
It's a package.
Yeah.
It's a package.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that, even though it's not one of my favorite weapons, it's a really cool weapon. And then I'm going to say the assault rifle from Halo 1.
Okay. Fair enough.
32 bullets, I think is what it holds. Like, that's pretty high mag. It like has what feels to be like great stopping power behind it. You can take out aliens, so you can take out any of my enemies.
Okay, let's see real quick. This is something we didn't cover on the main episode because it was during our announcement phase where we weren't trying to deal with news as much. And then also the fact that I ended up skipping this one in particular from the Sony announcement because me and Saul got off on a tangent. But what do you think the Audio Kinetic deal means for Sony? Is it just a backup revenue stream or is it for VR audio for PSVR 2.0? I think it's both.
I don't think it's both. I think it's backup. I don't think with Sony's audio game already, I don't think they have anything really to gain from this necessarily as in terms of a new accessory.
Not in a new accessory.
They already make 3D headphones. What are they going to make for this?
No, that's not what it's about. It's about improving the 3D technology that goes into making sure the audio is represented.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
accurately.
From what I've heard, these 3D headphones are really, really good.
Well, I mean, are you talking about the ones for? Because what he's actually talking about for PSVR 2 is not about the headphones, because the headphones themselves do not process the audio. There's a chipset inside of the breakout box that processes the audio and handles everything. So what it does is makes it,
right, but it's very similar to any kind of chipset in an amp that gives you surround sound, where your headphones can't typically just do surround sound on their own, especially wirelessly. So the chipset you're connecting to lets you do the same thing. What I'm talking about is.
Yeah, but it's a little different, right? Because in that situation, they're looking at where the sound's coming from and then artificially putting it where the surround sound would be in the headphone. In this, it's taking stock of where you are in the game, all the sounds that are happening in the game in real time,
pretty much spinning around your entire body.
It's looking at where you're spinning and then changing the sound based off of that.
I guess I could see that.
So, and the reason I say this is that I think it's for both because it's obviously a good idea to give them a backup revenue stream. But the secondarily reason I say that is we saw the acquisition from Gaikai, which at first made no sense. We were like, why would they be buying a company that handles game streaming? But then we saw the PS4. And we saw PS Now come from it. We saw the Vita come with remote play, and we saw the PS4 get remote play, obviously, and things like share play. These are things that they can work into features that not only give them extra income and whatnot for the other stuff that they use, but also give them the ability to,
My big thing, though, is that, like, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier, is I don't see them marketing VR a whole lot anymore. Like, specifically VR, not the games for it, but specifically VR and the peripherals and everything for it. My thing is like, why now at this time? I mean, I guess before PS5 would be the way to do it.
Yeah. You'd want to make sure it's there so that you can have everything built in and ready.
I guess I can't really say much until I see anything, like, because I don't think so, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, I guess, is my answer.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Let's see. Last question from Twitter. Got our buddy LGB here, always with the good questions as always. He says, hey guys, if you could force the other to play a specific game that you know that they have not tried before and probably don't like, what game would that be? Keep the awesomeness flowing. Thank you, my buddy LGB.
Thanks, El. And we're going to have to play some more Anthem. He was a good silent partner, revived me a lot whenever I was just being a little glass rocket.
You know how cool El Chabib is? I asked him how's he doing, and he took the time out to actually make a text and say, hey, I'm doing good. How about you? I messaged it to me. I'm like, hey, this dude's pretty cool. He could have just ignored me.
Yeah, when we were in the party chat. That's good stuff.
El Chabib's a good friend. I think you might have... Actually, you have played it before. Never mind. I was there when we played it all together. Dang, my answer.
So if there's a game that we don't think that the other person would like, but we could force them to play it, what would it be?
I would say DDR for you.
Oh, I've played DDR.
I know, that's what I said. I was there with you.
But I do not like it.
What mall was that? Where were we at? It was me, you, Blaze, Annie, Jess, everybody, Hannah.
Was it?
Yeah, we went to the... We went to the pizza place right after the Grimaldi's.
Oh yeah, that was in.
It was the arcade. Hot Springs.
No,
Little Rock.
Little Rock.
Yeah, Little
That's
Rock.
right.
We went to
That's
Best Buy. Dang. So yeah, not with. Okay, I got a game.
Though I do not like that game. So here's the thing,
it's honestly
though,
hard to find a game that we haven't both played.
that we also know that we don't like. Yeah. I think that's fair enough.
Because I would say Cabela's Big Game Hunter for Brett, because I know he would hate that.
No, do you think I'm kidding? I used to play the hunting games on PSP like mad because I like the idea of running through track, because it's essentially Monster Hunter, right? And it's like track your prey. You look and you actually see where their tracks are. To me, have you
ever tried hunting in real life? Because it's like hunting in real life.
Yes, and I know that, but it's gamified where you have like heightened senses to see the tracking. And you don't have to do any physical exertion because I'm lazy. But dude, I seriously played the PSP games of Cabela's Hunter and all the other games that they did, and I enjoyed them. I thought it was fun. But let's see.
I see. Yeah, I would honestly say I know you would not enjoy DDR as much.
I would not enjoy DDR. Which is funny because I just don't like DDR because I don't like the music that accompanies it more than anything. But also I don't like to dance. Whereas I love other rhythm games. Like I would totally be down to play Beat Saber and enjoy it. You look like a fool doing it, but that's not even the problem. It's that it's fun to do. I love
rhythm games.
I don't really care to dance, but I like other rhythm games like Guitar Hero, Rock Band, and whatnot because I like music, obviously, and I even like the ones that were just hand rhythm. Rock Band Unplugged for PSP was very fun. I like
the Rock Band for DS was actually surprisingly really good.
Yeah. So I don't know. I can't think of anything I really think you hate.
I don't think I hate really any.
It's a great question.
I don't think I hate specifically anything in gaming. Like, I guess throw me a generic third-person zombie game.
Hannah Montana, the movie game.
I mean, is it a karaoke game?
It's essentially a rhythm game where you.
It's a rhythm game, so I like it. Like that's the problem. Is I like rhythm games. I like almost every rhythm game I've ever played.
You get the best of both worlds.
Even DDR. I like DDR.
Yeah.
I don't like giving the physical effort to do it. Now, Beat Saber, on the other hand, I work out for some Beat Saber.
Okay, let's see. I don't have an answer for that one, so LTB, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to gracefully decline to answer because I don't know. I'm really trying to think of something I think Saul would have agony playing, and I don't know what it is. So, here we are. Days Gone.
I've said before, I like that answer, but I don't hate Days Gone.
That's more of a joking answer.
Not super hyped for it.
Next question up from Josh Drago says, which game would you like to destroy from existence of the universe? That's
Hannah Montana.
You know what? I agree. Hannah Montana. That's a good answer, Saul. Thank you. You made my job a lot easier.
I'm taking a lot of platinums away doing so.
All right, let's see. A couple more. We got Sean Santaroot over here. He asked, what game did you really not enjoy but still completed, and why did you see it through till the end? Is Undertale... Are you
sure we haven't answered this question?
Yeah, we haven't. But is Undertale essentially your answer?
I completed that game.
Well, what I'm saying, he says like...
I enjoyed Undertale. I love Undertale. It's just the first hour I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this. And then I ended up really, really liking it.
That's a good question.
Sound Shapes.
Oh.
I got the platinum for that game too.
So why did you see that through to the end?
Because I told the story before.
The allure of the trophies?
I was listening to... Yeah, I was trophy hunting it. I was listening to old Game Over Greggy stuff back when they were in their old room with actually similar kind of like wood wall like this behind us, almost.
But it was just a fake wall.
Yeah, it was just a fake wall. This is a real wall.
Yeah.
With a rear window too.
And his was stone. But yeah.
Was it? Yeah, it was. It was like, okay, yeah. But anyways, and I was playing it, and like I got so close to the platinum, and I kept getting to this part where things in that game, components of that game are RNG related. You're not going to get the right spawn every time you play, and then that could really mess up your rhythm, coincidentally enough, and it can impede you. Deleted it off the hard drive twice. Like
I do remember this story.
Yeah, so that game.
And then he actually re-downloaded it and got the platinum.
Yeah, that's the only platinum that I regret getting.
And he got that platinum.
I hated getting.
Twice or three times? Did you get it?
Twice.
Because you don't have a PS3, right?
Nope. I got it on PS3 or PS4 and PS Vita.
Yeah. I think, let's see. I'm trying to think of a really... it's very seldom that I complete a game if I don't enjoy it. And I think if I end up beating
Assassin's Creed Odyssey,
and it's not even that. I've talked enough about it in the main episode, so I'm not going to go too much further. But it's like I enjoy aspects of it, but then other aspects just really disrespect your time as a player.
Yeah,
that makes me not want to beat it. Now, what makes me see it through to the end if I end up beating it, I would imagine that it'll be that the main storyline in the game has a chance of actually being very interesting.
Yeah.
But the game not wanting to let me go ahead and get through that information is what's kind of, I don't know. We'll see.
Gotcha.
Maybe we'll come back to that question. I think we've got just a couple more, really. So here we go from Liam. He says, Podcast Cat, do your... it's a question for Podcast Cat. Do your human slaves feed you Meow Mix, Friskies, or do you get premium food? Also, what is the recommended amount of sleep a human should get?
7 to 8 hours.
I did discuss with Tabby prior to this episode. She came in here and jumped on Saul's legs and made him bleed.
Dude, oh, that hurt. I actually am curious if I am bleeding, like, or if I bled.
But we discussed with her, and through her Podcast Cat knowledge, she decided to share with us. She said that we could share what food we get her. What we get her is 9 lives indoor complete. She's an old cat. She's been eating it pretty much her whole life, so we just keep getting it for her. I don't know. She enjoys it. As for the amount of sleep that we should get as a human, she actually said that we do not get enough sleep and that we are supposed to sleep as often as possible. If we go somewhere else, like a job that we're supposed to get there, find the most comfortable spot, plot down, and then sleep.
Run for president.
Yeah. So, it sounds like what she said is that if you're not sleeping 18 of the 24 hours of the day, then you're doing something wrong.
I really thought he was asking the question about sleep. So I was like 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah. If we're being real, but
if I'm like being really optimal,
I don't
7
get
hours gets me good.
Yeah, I don't get that. I get 6 hours of sleep on average.
No, yeah, screw that.
All right, let's see the last few that we have.
All them Donovan questions.
Make sure that they are. No, that's January 7th. We've already done those.
Okay, so is that the last one?
I think.
Throw another Donovan question.
Let me roll through real quick and see, because I think there's a couple up here. January 21st. Yeah, okay. We got.
Okay.
We do have a couple more.
No Donovan for you.
Let's see. Josh asked, if you could only eat 3 things from a Chinese restaurant for the rest of your lives, what would they be?
Super easy. Teriyaki steak, or steak teriyaki, whatever you want to call it. It depends on where you go. Sweet and sour chicken, General Tso's chicken. Easy peasy. Now, it depends. If this means this is a combo, so do I get the white steamed rice with this? If not, I'm going to substitute out teriyaki with white steamed rice so that I can eat General Tso's chicken with steamed rice or sweet and sour chicken with steamed rice. Bert hates Chinese food, so he has no answer for this.
I do have answers for it, but that's because I like the odd things of a Chinese buffet.
No, he's going to say chicken nuggets and cheese sticks. No, count. No.
Frog legs.
That still don't count. That's a Southern food. That's a Southern food. Nope.
They're delicious.
That doesn't count.
I've never seen them anywhere except for Chinese buffet.
You never went to Old Feed House?
I never saw them there, but I did go to Old Feed House.
Yeah. Seth
they are
freaked
good,
out
though.
one time when eating it.
They are good.
They're all right.
So yeah, I have no answer for that. I'm good. I will gladly not even worry about that one. Sean asked, Mr. Sean May, out of all the Final Fantasy games, what world would you live in, and explain why? If I had to live in a Final Fantasy world,
does Twilight Town count?
In Kingdom Hearts?
Yes.
That would be a dope world.
Because there's Final Fantasy characters in Twilight Town.
No, not in Twilight Town.
Wait.
In Hollow Bastion.
Hollow Bastion. I always get those two names confused. I don't get it.
Okay.
Is it because it's orange? The color is like associated with them? Both?
I don't know, but I think I would live in Hollow Bastion from Kingdom Hearts 2. That'd be cool, but that's not the one. So Final Fantasy wise, if I had to say what world I would live in from Final Fantasy games that I've knowingly played,
Xanarkand.
Xanarkand's pretty cool, but I've always had, and this is a weird thing, as much as I enjoy nature, but I don't enjoy the way that you have to go in about doing nature, at least around us. Every time we go to Hot Springs, we go to Garvin Gardens and spend the whole day there because it's awesome and I love it. And
I still need to go.
Don't even care about technology. It's just fun. So in that idea of humble, nice nature, the world from Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles has always just seemed so nice to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's just calm and
actually,
cool.
You know what? I changed my answer from Xanarkand. I'm going to say Limsum Lominsa from Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah. Okay.
The Sea
Fair
World.
Fair enough. Good one.
Nice old
good question.
Sea salt air.
All right, and
maybe
we got
some sea salt ice cream too.
One more, if I'm not mistaken, from the 24th. Okay, so I think we had a question dump here, and if we did, then we'll just answer a couple of them. Let's see. We've already talked about this one, so I'll go ahead and just say it out loud, but we can talk about it. After everything you've seen of Anthem, do you think BioWare will redeem themselves with what they did with Mass Effect with their new IP? I do.
I have played
but I do think it's a little bit of a crazy slope because it's still not, unless once the game comes out and the story is really amazing, I still think there'll be some people that are mad that this is not a story-driven of a game as their normal story-driven RPGs are.
Who asked that question?
Sean May.
Okay.
Let's see. Man, it's okay. Enrique, so Mr. Kiki asked if you no longer, and he's a Patreon, thank you, good sir, patron. If you no longer needed money but had to still work, what type of work would you want to do? This right here. I'm not
I was
even
gonna
kidding.
say like this or Twitch streaming all day, or not all day. No, I would not do that
all
because
day.
I hate video games. But yeah, I Twitch stream 4 hours a day.
Yeah. So I like this though. This would be very fun, and it would be something cool to do if we didn't have to work. I mean, me and Solve talked about it before. If we did not have to have jobs because of money, we would do this far more often.
I would also like to be a cook, but I don't want to work in a kitchen with kitchen staff.
So you just be like a home delicacy cook.
Yeah,
you know? That'd be cool. I'd be down.
I'd make a YouTube channel called "You Can Talk About This Cheap Eats," where I put together budgets of food that are real cheap to eat, and I'll show you how to make them.
Okay, fair enough. Let's see.
When we get to 1,000 Patreon subscribers a month, all at the $10 tier, I'll make cheap eats a thing.
We'll throw in one last Donovan one before we figure out the rest of these, which is why does Saul dislike the viewers so much that he refuses to do reader mail in the episode?
It's because now you get these long funny form funny videos that you get every 2 weeks instead of every episode, and that we can actually focus on the questions and the topics.
And so we could be lewd and gruesome or whatever.
Yeah, I guess technically, like since this is more
laid back,
hands off kind of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So.
Which is already what we're doing with the new off topic to an extent that if you're a patron, you've already had a chance to listen to.
Honestly, it's worth to pay $5 to listen to, I think. It was a really good episode.
I enjoyed it a lot. It's very fun. What's your favorite restaurant? Mr. Donovan asked.
Restaurant or fast food? Because restaurant.
I gave him another one because that one was more of a joke one. But
I'm gonna say Chick-fil-A for fast food.
If we're gonna go all out restaurant, I have this weird fascination with Cheesecake Factory because I've only been able to have it once and it was so delicious.
You've only eaten Cheesecake Factory once?
And dude, that chicken Parmesan pizza style was so amazing that it's bewitched me and I want to go back. But if I had to go to like a restaurant that I can constantly go to because we actually have one here, I am a very big partial fan to Ironwood. I love that place.
Dude, honestly, I would say Ironwood has made it into my top restaurants. Like I don't count McAllister's as a restaurant.
Okay, yeah, if we had to say that, technically I eat McAllister's every day. So if you had to go off of my actions, but that's because I can't afford Ironwood every day.
Dude, Ironwood is good, not in terms like everything I've gotten from there so far when we've gone has been good. And that's been a variety.
Yeah.
The one time I got the burger was the real. I think I went with Annie just to get the burger. But the burger was real good with the fries.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the catfish. Like, where can you go to get a really good burger and a really good catfish?
Normally, it's one or the other. Normally, the catfish will kind of suffer because of the burger, or the burger will suffer.
I'll have diarrhea all day long. Like,
yeah.
Especially with bad catfish.
I have never, ever had any kind of stomach problems after leaving there.
Boy,
and I eat there
Long
a
John
lot.
Silver's. No.
All right, a couple more from Kiki. Let's see, and then we're gonna save the other two for the next episode. Kiki, I think that you'll be okay with that. He says, if you could vacation anywhere, where would you guys go and why? I'm gonna go ahead and answer with something that we're already hoping to do all together if it works out, which is Japan. I've always wanted to go.
There's one place higher for Japan than me. I mean, there's one place higher than Japan for me.
Antarctica.
New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah, I could see that. That'd be dope.
I want to go to Hopkinton.
The thing is that New Zealand is only because of all the beautiful places that I know that'll be there because of the movies.
Exactly.
But Japan is like not only that Japan is beautiful in a lot of areas, but that Japan is a culture. I enjoy a lot of their stuff and their actual societal culture.
If we all get together as a group and go to Japan, I've talked to Blaze about this. We're gonna film you every time you eat. And I want your reactions to, because I know you don't like Japanese food at all.
First of all, I don't like Chinese food. I'm more open to the idea of Japanese food because they do. I mean, in general, I think, why would I go to Japan and not eat? I'm not going to go to Japan and not be at least somewhat.
You're such a picky eater. You're pickier than I am. But if I can't read a menu, I'm already uncomfortable.
Okay,
that's going to be a thing.
Fair enough. But I'll give you this. I know why you think this, but I don't think that you realize how much in the last year and a half, that I have broadened my food stuff.
We actually convinced you to go to Osaka's with us, which I'm surprised. Now we just got convinced you to go.
I shouldn't have gotten what I got at Osaka.
Now you just need to go to China Inn with us.
We'll see.
I think you like the teriyaki steak.
We'll see, because the Mongolia beef was ass, and I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, you might not.
I have had it.
Mongolian steak's a little rough. And I mean that like chewy.
Yeah, I like my as long as it's where it's like rubbery chewy. Yeah, I don't like that. That's exactly why Osaka's was bad. to me.
I see. I love Osaka's, but now that I've gotten food poisoning from it, I'm over it. I've divorced it.
But yeah, I think Japan is it, and I think that also Japan would have a more actual, authentic version of what we're eating.
Oh no, I'm sure. I'm 100% sure it will. I'm just.
And I like fish, so I mean, Chinese food.
Do you like sushi though?
Mainly because of avocado, and they not all, but a lot of them use avocado.
Dude, avocado tastes like butter from the ground.
I do not agree with that statement.
Tastes like green butter.
Green butter. Okay. I think that was our last question. We'll save the rest. Kiki, like I said.
We'll put them in the vault
We'll pull them in for the next one.
We know you're cool with that. Thank you for being a Patreon, and thank you for the good times in Discord. As all you guys who are Patreon listeners. And we
would go forever. If I'm being honest right now, I'll be completely transparent. This has been a long enough episode already. It's almost an hour and 40 minutes or something like that. And I just really want to play Kingdom Hearts 3.
I have limits of time compared to Brett to play Kingdom Hearts. This man can sleep 6 hours and be fine. I slept 5 hours last night. I'm probably going to sleep 5 hours tonight. I'm going to be wrecked tomorrow by the time I get off work. I'm not going to, I got to play.
No, I got you. You got to catch up to
30 years in the making. But we thank everybody for tuning in as always. Remember, if you ever want to submit us a question, check out the links below where you can find our Twitter and our Discord and everything else under the sun. And if you're here and you stayed all the way through as a new follower on Twitter from the giveaway, thank you, and hope you like it. Welcome to the Triangle Squared family.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to our patrons, Chad V, Dan Barber, Josh Jarrell, Mikey 12. My name is Dan, Douglas Below, Sean Santarude, Shadowist, Steven Salazar, The Stonard, Travis Below, Blake Popst, and Eduardo Palomino. If you would like to support us on Patreon, the link is in the description below, and we appreciate all of you that do support us now. Thank you.